Another one of our high priorities once we gain access to a system is to investigate the possibilities of keeping our access or maintaining it and potentially expanding our access beyond what we already have. So basically, once we've got access, one of our goals is going to be to maintain that. So we want to try to prevent the detection of this compromised system and present challenges to the administrators so that we don't lose access to that system. So there are a lot of options available for us. Probably one of the biggest, most common methods of maintaining access is through a rootkit. And the basic idea there is that the rootkit will hide all of your activities. So you root the box, which is where that term comes from, and you get in there and you change the task manager and the task viewer, you hide the files through NTFS data streams, and it basically is an alternate control method for that system. So even if someone is looking for signs of being hacked, they won't notice because the system has been assigned a rootkit. We can also use other various things such as exploits and credential caching capabilities to try to protect ourselves. In addition, we can prevent or remove logs that might give away the actions that we've taken. So we might go in and go ahead and clear all the log files that we're aware of, and maybe even disable those log files by putting a write lock on them so that new information can't be written. Trojans are also a huge asset to us once we've compromised a system. So they're going to continue to create backdoors or compromise other accounts that log onto that system. So they're going to be another method for us to maintain our access in addition to potentially hiding that access. Another method that is actually very commonly used is to create new accounts. Now, I can tell you from experience, a lot of sysadmins keep very close tabs on what accounts exist and where. So creating new accounts might draw attention to yourself. Now, one thing that I've used in the past that seems to be really effective is to elevate the privileges of accounts that already exist that you may have compromised. A fantastic example of this is to find network maintenance software, the type of software that goes out and maybe pings servers for availability or sends out packets for maintenance and things like that. The type of services that don't draw a lot of attention to themselves because everyone knows they're accessing remote systems. If we can compromise the service account and bump the privileges up to domain administrative privileges, we effectively have an invisible open hacking account. So we want to pay special attention to those service accounts and those application accounts and try to use the existing ones to our advantage, because generally permission changes on accounts don't draw a lot of attention. And how many administrators do you know that regularly audit the members of the domain admins group? Obviously, a good security company would, but most don't. In addition, to continue to expand and maintain our access, we can change permissions on various files and shares. So we might go in and create a folder such as System33, for example. Even though that may be kind of obvious, we can remove all permissions to that so no one can delete it, no one can modify it. And if we start affecting the administrator's account and other user accounts, we may be able to protect ourselves for quite some time. Another great example is to undo security measures that have been taken to protect the box. For example, a lot of administrators will go into the registry and disable null sessions on Windows machines to keep that vulnerability from being exploited. Well, the catch is, how many of them are going to go back and verify the registry key is still set? So that's a great opportunity for us to create a backdoor for ourselves by undoing that lockdown procedure and then maybe locking down the one we used to come in with. So now we have an alternate method for attack. Now, it would actually be a lot smarter to go in and do something a lot less obvious so that other hackers might not get into your system as well. We want to expand access by utilizing our newfound hosts to try to hack other hosts. And this is especially useful in a large-scale enterprise environment because any given machine is probably being logged onto or logging on several dozen systems, whether it be workstations or other servers, because network communication is happening all the time. So we might actually upload our hacker tools through built-in utilities such as TFTP or the FTP client, upload those to the compromised host, and then use those tools to sniff and crack passwords and use those resources to gain access to other systems. We might even be able to go in and use some built-in commands to footprint the rest of the network, especially if it's a high-level server such as a DNS server or a domain controller. Then we're definitely in great shape, because then we can do DNS zone transfers, we can dump through LDAP the actual Active Directory database, and so on and so forth. So again, depending on the host you actually get a hold of, you can really do a lot of damage and gain a lot of information. And obviously, you can also gain other protected passwords to other systems, especially if cache credentials is enabled, which in most enterprise environments, it will be. So any type of cache credentials or profiles are also a great source for finding user accounts. So there are a lot of options available to us for maintaining that. So continuing forward, we can also go through and enumerate DHCP server information. That's definitely a useful one, because then we know all the systems on the network that have obtained IP addresses, whether they're reserved or automatically assigned through DHCP. We can also gain useful information about looking at the DHCP by looking at TCP/IP configuration. That might tell us where PXE servers are, or DNS or DHCP servers. So we can gain a lot of useful information there. And oftentimes, from a single authorized but compromised host, we can pretty much dump the entire domain down to files and offload them. It only takes one vulnerability in one system on a company network, and you can literally strip all of the sensitive, important information out of the network and then use that to launch additional attacks from that host.